In high-stakes corporate sales, losing a single major account rarely stops at a missed quarterly quota. Instead, it sends shockwaves straight to the trading floor, wiping millions off a company's market valuation in minutes. For decades, companies operated under a strictly transactional mindset. Success was measured by short-term volume quotas and the ability to push specific product features. This system rewards isolated brute force tactics, specifically the aggressive end-of-quarter sales push. Representatives heavily discount products just to close deals and hit their personal numbers. This chart illustrates the hidden operational damage those isolated sales spikes create. When sales operates without consulting supply capabilities, that sudden influx of orders triggers the bullwhip effect. Small fluctuations at the point of sale turn into violent oscillations down the production line. Following the timeline to the right, those red spikes translate into factory floor disasters. The plant runs out of materials, resulting in stockouts. Fulfilling this sudden backlog requires expensive overtime. By the time the product reaches the customer, the manufacturing cost has spiked, eroding the profitability of the account. Treating revenue generation as a siloed, volume-driven race doesn't build business value. It drains margins. The math shows a purely transactional approach often costs more to fulfill than it brings in. To survive, modern B2B organizations have abandoned that model. Today's key account manager functions as a quasi-CEO, orchestrating their own company's internal logistics to guarantee the client's external outcomes. This requires a structural mechanism known as Sales and Operations Planning, or SOMP. It forces sales forecasts to serve as the primary action triggers for the entire supply chain. Looking at the bottom panel of our supply chain chart, the contrast is stark. By cross-checking demand planning against physical production capacity, the violent spikes disappear. The gears interlock, resulting in a stable line of optimized efficiency and protected margins. Effective sales strategy depends on an operational supply chain strategy. A promise to a client is only as good as the factory's ability to build it efficiently. That alignment must extend to the narrative delivered to the complex web of decision-makers inside a client's organization. Consider the Nova Health scenario. A sales representative pitches a highly customized robotic solution to a head surgeon. Simultaneously, the marketing department blasts an automated email to the hospital's procurement director promoting a generic out-of-the-box package. This diagram maps internal friction. When sales and marketing gears grind with conflicting messages, trust shatters. To prevent this, organizations deploy smarketing, locking departments together using service-level agreements. Marketing commits to generating vetted content, and sales guarantees to use that unified message. Building consensus among a skeptical group of external buyers is impossible if internal departments can't agree on the story. Once the contract is signed, the timeline stretches out. Relying on an annual performance review to gauge a major client's satisfaction is a high-risk error. Top-tier account managers monitor the relationship using AI-driven health systems. These tools track real-time vital signs, support tickets, delivery speeds, and communication frequency, rather than relying on subjective intuition. The algorithms scan the data for subtle anomalies. If a key stakeholder, who usually replies to emails within hours, takes 3 days to respond, the system flags it. Machine learning models track micro-behaviors over time, mapping departure patterns, like decreasing software usage, often 6 months before cancellation. Identifying this early triggers a retention playbook. Executive visits and custom demonstrations stabilize the relationship, pushing the engagement line back to a healthy baseline. Waiting for a client to formally complain is a structural failure. Retaining valuable partnerships requires preempting churn before the client is certain they are looking for an exit. All of this internal re-engineering leads to the final stage, a strategic value orientation. This triggers a process called servitization. The business moves from selling a physical machine as a one-off capital expense to guaranteeing operational uptime as an ongoing service. On the relationship continuum chart, the dynamic moves away from the left side, where vendors fight over transactions, and progresses towards the right, forming deeply embedded partnerships. Ultimately, the two organizations operate as a single, digitally linked unit, synchronized for real-time collaboration. Having an exceptional product isn't enough to secure a deal. Growth happens only when your client's operational success is systematically engineered into your own organizational architecture.